And Zerg versus Protoss is kind of interesting, especially because the way that the majority of players plays, you always expand to the front on the natural. And natural to natural is so close no matter where you are.
Oh, yeah.
And that's actually really hard for Zerg players. This map, the majority of Zerg players actually get rid of this map against Terran, against Protoss.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And at the same time, Protoss can actually just stay in the one base, use sentries to block off the ramp, and then even just take the back base.
Yeah.
And even if Zerg try to do that, Colossus can just walk up and do a ton of damage to that. So it's actually kind of hard for Zerg to play on this map and see if MorroW can compete against Naniwa, who'll be knowing this and try to abuse it as much as possible.
Yeah, a lot of pretty much any Protoss opening is great on this map. I mean, we've seen Huck do a pretty standard 3-gate core and then expand to the front. We've seen players like Kiwikaki build a 2-gate zealot at the front, put pressure on, because, I mean, you were saying that the distance between natural expansions is really close. The distance between mains is also about Steps of War-ish distance. It's so close. So if you put 2-gate zealot pressure on, you can always back up and take down your backdoor rocks. We even saw some Protosses in the GSL opt for very fast Phoenix play. Didn't end up working out, but still, he can do it.
There are just so many options you can use as Protoss on this map. It looks like Naniwa is back. We should be getting this game underway pretty soon. Just needs to change his color to red, as you consistently carry on repeating. Naniwa still opting to go for his pink, though.
Yeah, it looks like Naniwa has just returned back up. It looks like, oh no, Naniwa will be back in 3 minutes. So until then, how's the crowd doing this fine morning? I'm curious how you guys are. When we learned that it would be a 9 a.m. first match, I mean, I know gamers like to stay up late, but 9 a.m. does feel like bedtime, almost no matter what it is. But is a packed crowd in here? Most of the gamers are at their computers with their pillow curled up sleeping. But everyone managed to make it out this morning, so thank you very much. There's a big heart to all the fine folks in the crowd. And you can't see it, but there's in fact many hearts.
There are many hearts just like floating around.
I know. Ooh. They sure know how to make a man blush.
You are turning a little bit red there. All these
I am
hearts
indeed.
flying your way.
It's not an optical illusion, baby. This ain't a trick. What you see is what you get. So now, we were talking a lot about Naniwa and the Protoss styles that can be pulled off on this map, but Zerg-wise, it's very difficult to know what is a good way to open. Some Zergs just favor opening roaches on one base very quick because you can put that pressure on almost unprevented by Protoss because of those extremely close distances.
Yeah, I think the best opening for this map, especially in Zerg versus Protoss, is probably going for either 13 gas, 13 pool, or 14 gas, 14 pool. Or kind of just going for an early pool and then try to get the hatchery up, get speed, get linked without speed, and then try to get your hatchery up as fast as possible. But on this map, you always have to be careful of these forge builds. They are quite dangerous because of the small size of the map. There are a lot of times that it's not like you can guarantee a win by going for a forge build. You have to get slightly lucky, but it's so dangerous when a Zerg player sees this coming because they have to pull so many drones off to help defend against it. And especially if you manage to keep them in their base, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and it really, this is perhaps the best example of how little subtle changes in the map design can have huge impacts on the matchups. If this map had no rocks at your backdoor expansion, Zergs would love this map. They would be able to almost always expand with no SCV block, no probe block. You would have complete freedom to take a third afterwards because it's right outside your front base. But again, it's so hard to deal with those destructible rocks at the back door.
Yeah, and the thing with Protoss, what Protoss can do, as you're saying, it's so easy to expand, and they can just move around the map in a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction, taking expansions one at a time, because usually on some maps it's quite hard for Protoss to expand because of the long distances between bases. But because it's such a compact map, they can move around with not even moving their army. You can just move down to your natural, move forward like a pixel, and you're on your third base. And then the same for you can move forward 2 pixels and you're in your opponent's base. So it's going to be... are we getting ready to go? Is Naniwa back yet?
No, I'm just having friendly idle chatter with MorroW as we're waiting for Naniwa to return. Because again, I really want to know why he labeled himself as Terran and Zerg for this tournament.
I don't know. Maybe he's going to pull out Terran if he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, that's always something that is nice about doing the matchup picking. And most tournaments do have a rule in place, that kind of has one of those. You must submit your race in the matchups beforehand because you don't want any goofiness like the infinite loops occurring. And it looks like MorroW's saying he's a Zerg user 100% now. And I don't know, are you familiar with the famous when MorroW switched to Zerg picture?
No.
Well, let me tell you about it.
Please do.
So MorroW had, I think, like a 78% win percentage on the Europe servers. He was like the second highest after DeMuslim, who had like 100% or something. But MorroW switched to Zerg, and when he did that, someone took a screenshot of his match history, and he lost like 45 games in a row.
Oh yeah, he was like 2,600 or something on the ladder as Terran, and then dropped down to like 1,400 or something.
I know, he was in like top 20 of his Diamond division. All right, okay, so it looks like Naniwa's here. Oh my gosh. Okay, Naniwa ready. Just have to make sure that he is in fact psyched up. I mean, it was a long journey to the restroom. He apparently got stopped. Yeah.
I was actually walking past the restroom. There's like queues outside it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's so many people here.
People are waiting patiently. I almost wish I was a girl just for the purposes of having like the freedom to use the restroom. There's like nothing but guys packing it up there. And yes, Naniwa is there. Right. I'm going to give him the good luck, the have fun, and the good game. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going into game 2 of the early morning Group C and D action. Give a cheer for Naniwa for returning back from his trip to the restroom.
And give a cheer for a Swedish Zerg player now, MorroW.
Oh! Always have to keep in mind that we are in Sweden, so people will be cheering for their friendly Swede, Mr. MorroW. And it looks like, MorroW not getting the good roll on the position, spawning in the bottom left, and right next door is Naniwa in the right as the red Protoss.
And this should be interesting, especially to see when he decides to scout. If he goes for the 9 pylon and then move out, and Naniwa's like, can we pause for a second? He like has to go to the toilet again.
He's like,
no, I need to go again. I'm so nervous. But he does pause, so we're going to have a pause. But as I was saying, depending on which way he scouts, and usually when a Protoss player spawns on the right-hand side down here, they usually send the probe to the left.
Yeah.
So if he does do that and sees MorroW straight away, MorroW could be in a lot of trouble, because that's what players we saw in the GSL. When you can scout that early, you have the freedom. You have so much freedom to do whatever you want. There's so much time. You can even sit back, take your hands and mouse off the keyboard and be like, gotta get a Fortress game.
Yeah, you can just go get a fortune cookie and follow whatever it says, because you just have so much freedom and time after you scouted him that early. It does look like Nani is making sure his sound settings are just perfect. You know, players really are sensitive to things like mouse and keyboard, and Naniwa's ears need to feel just right so he can focus in this game.
And MorroW, actually, I'm just looking at the minimap. MorroW's Overlord is going in the incorrect way.
Yeah,
which is pretty bad for him.
Because we're not actually allowed to move the screen while it's paused, so we are trapped here. We are held hostage on this exact screen. We do see that Naniwa is mining with probes, and that's always an effective opening strategy.
I know. There's like 4 maybe probes with minerals right now.
Yeah, that's good. About half of them with minerals. And, you know, there actually is some useful to talk about here where what most players learn very quickly is that it is important to oh, great, we have resumed the game. It's really important to have those players, or those pros, be split up in mining different mineral patches. I mean, as we can see, each one of these mineral patches now has a probe devoted to it. What we've seen players like Jinro do is actually try to pair up 2 probes on 1 mineral. So most of the mineral patches have 2 workers, the other half have no workers. There's the good luck and the good game from MorroW. And, it looks like Naniwa's also scouting in the wrong direction, so it's going to be a little bit of a tough game for both players, scouting each other last.
And that's going to help MorroW out a lot, especially if he decides to go for kind of a hatch build first. I wouldn't recommend it, but he might do it, as I don't really know MorroW's style too much as Zerg. But if he does go for a hatch first, this is going to help out a lot, as the probe's not going to get there in time to stop it. We are going to see 14 gas being put down, which is kind of the build I would have suggested MorroW to do if he was sitting next to me. I'm like, hey, go 14 gas, 14 pools. Probably a pretty good build.
Yeah,
good build.
If you looked at his record and found out he lost 4,500 games in a row and you said, hey, do your 1,500 Diamond Zerg, let me give you some tips and tricks. Early gas on this map is Gosu ×2.
It definitely is, because like we were saying, because the map is so small, you really do need speed out as well, because you can just waypoint Zealots, and the Zealots are so hard to deal with, especially if you don't have speed. So we probably are going to see speed come out straight away from MorroW. At the same time, we have got the gas being put down for Naniwa and probably be worn off with the Cybernetics core in his ramp.
Now, the one thing to note that pretty much all Protosses have been doing, Zergs have been getting very comfortable with the timing of when to make the drones, when to make the workers, etc. So what most Protosses are doing are huge pushes with those gateway units, the Zealots, the Stalkers, and most importantly, the Sentries for those key force fields. And on this map, again, it's pretty easy to pull off almost any standard Protoss opening. It looks like Naniwa will be going for the 1 gate, 1 core. Ooh, that's not the best positioning, as that is a fairly wide entrance. But as we see from MorroW, No hatch yet, just getting the Zergling speed and a couple of Lings out, and we'll do a little bit of scouting first.
Yeah, he's going to move the Lings down. I mean, he's taken drones off gas as soon as he had 100 so he could get speed. And as soon as he gets rid of this probe, I suspect he will move down with the drone to take his natural. He looks like he is saving up money now. And here comes the drone. He will be going down to put down the hatchery on around 22. Needs to get rid of this probe. It didn't put a pylon down. I was like, are you going to put a pylon down? He didn't. So he will get this free hatchery being put down on 22. And now MorroW is going to try and power drones as much as possible and find out exactly what's going on. He's going to be trying to go up the ramp with a couple of Lings just to kind of see what kind of build's going on.
Oh, and he will not be able to spot anything at the front because down by the destructible rocks, we have one Stargate being made by Nani. Nani is his idea of choice today, and this is going to be very difficult for MorroW to deal with. He will not be able to scout it soon. Double gas out for Naniwa. We even see that Chrono Boost getting saved up. 55 energy on that Nexus. He's throwing down yet another pylon to try to close that off. And look at MorroW doing a little bit of nibbling action, and that Zergling has been very busy. He's actually got that shield almost down to half life. And in the meantime, I really like how MorroW's logic is going. Like, his flow is very solid, getting just enough Zerglings to deny any sort of scouting, but also getting the Zergling speed just in case he does need to get Zerglings at the last second. But he is going to be hard-pressed to have any sort of anti-air, because look at this. One Void Ray already en route. If MorroW went 0-2 in his first 2 games, that would be a crushing blow.
And I don't think he's really going to be expecting this either. He has started mining gas again, which means he's going to be going for the leopards. Actually, no, he's going to get a 3rd queen.
Wow.
Which is really smart. A lot of players have been doing this, and it is so vital to do against every race. It's just to get the 3rd queen. And even if you don't need it for defenses necessarily, you can use it just to spread creep everywhere. And getting this 3rd queen out is going to help so much, especially against his Stargate build.
Here comes the Void Ray, and it looks like Naniwa's getting a 2nd Void Ray. Seems like he is swinging around to the backside, wants to make absolutely certain he can charge on these destructible rocks a little bit before fighting. And oh no, a Zergling ends up spotting the Void Ray. He knows everything that's going on. Will he cancel the layer? It doesn't look like he's canceled anything yet. Roach Warren going down. Another queen is supply blocked, but it will be coming out eventually. There are those 2 queens gearing up. He needs to make sure that that Void Ray doesn't get charged, but the queen doesn't start firing in time. That is a fully charged Void Ray. Can do so much damage, and it looks like Naniwa is just playing very, very defensively with those Void Rays, just trying to do a little bit of damage. Hasn't taken down his destructible rocks at the back door quite yet.
I'm actually intrigued to ask Nani why he's gone for a Forge in his main. I don't really understand what the reason for that. It looks like he's actually going to put a pylon down on the natural and try to get a natural up, I suppose. Try to get a base up. Yeah,
wow.
He's going to go for this Void Ray opening into pressure and then try to switch directly into a Nexus. I guess this build didn't really work, but he's doing a lot of damage on the natural and the main at the same time.
Very nice little play here by Naniwa, trying to sneak into the backside. Already has a couple of kills on this left Void Ray, 4 so far, and the back door also manages to get 2 kills, going for a 3rd. MorroW is doing the non-stop queen production to try to be able to deal with this, but it looks like Naniwa is doing some very unusual looking sort of Void Ray harass, just trying to pick off drones instead of the usual queens and hatcheries, and Naniwa setting up a nice, well-timed expansion at the front.
This is actually quite a nice build from Naniwa. Just going for these 2 Void Rays singly and then just using them as much as possible to do the damage onto the economy, and then just going for his own Nexus. And it looks like MorroW actually might be overreacting to these Void Rays. He has so many queens out, which aren't going to help against the future in the mid game. I mean, he's got this Evo Chamber out, so I suspect he might even be looking to put Spore Crawlers down.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually just an absolutely brilliant build by Naniwa. MorroW's responding as well as he can, but you never see Void Rays rush to kill off drones. It's always the hatches or the queens, the big units. You always see the Void Rays charging on these destructible rocks, and Naniwa instead just favoring very nicely timed gateway units, getting his expansion up, could even do a charge up to kill off his backdoor destructible rocks to take a fast 3rd base. And MorroW, in the meantime, is just massing up roaches, and it looks like his Evo Chamber hasn't even begun researching anything.
No, it hasn't. And I just love the micro. Actually, as I say that, he might lose one, but his micro throughout the game has been so good with these Void Rays, keeping them in green health consistently. Now charging up on these destructible rocks, going to try and take down this extractor on the natural. At the same time, as you were saying, he's getting the +1 now for his for the Protoss ground weapons, and he's getting a lot of gateways out, and it looks like he will be going for like a 6 gateway push, which is going to be extremely hard to stop, as MorroW doesn't really have that many ground units.
Yeah, it looks like just Roaches out right now for MorroW, but there's been a lot of time for the Hydra Den to finish in MorroW's main. We do see that range upgrade going down. There's the +1 range upgrade. Looks like he is continuing to wail away at this extractor. Very easy thing to pick off on the left side. Can also help with that charge up of MorroW getting good positioning. Clearly has enough energy to do some kind of transfuse action. And Naniwa not even getting gas at this expansion, just favoring getting those gateway units as fast as possible.
And he actually could snipe the Queen with these Void Rays if he decides to go for it. He's going to go for the Spore Crawler. 2 charged Void Rays can easily snipe this Queen. It has a lot of energy as well. He needs to try to save it. Will he be able to save it?
Oh, there's a transfuse on the Queen, so we'll be able to survive yet another day. And it looks like Hydra is now popping out for MorroW. A Twilight Council going down in Naniwa's base. Is that it? Yeah, it's trying to continue to form this nice wall off. And here comes the push from Naniwa. Zerg has almost no time to react. MorroW has to be so careful. The Void Ray still picking off this left geyser, and loses 1 Void Ray. But at the same time, these Hydros really need to get positioned for this big push. MorroW doing a great job of spreading the creep as well.
Be interesting to see if he decides to push in before or after researching Blinkers. That's what I'll be surprised to see. Actually, he might even go for DTs. That would be really surprising. He has got it. We just want to see what he tries to do with it. He's not using it at all at the moment and deciding to go back with his forces. Obviously not a good time for him to push into MorroW. I love the way that MorroW is using the creep spread with all these creature missiles. He has that many queens from defending against the Void Rays that he might as well make use of them.
I do think he's maybe doing a little bit of over-creeping, though. He's spending so much of that energy that could all be saved for the transfuse, but in the meantime, it looks like MorroW is doing the good defensive move, taking this gold hatchery, even sending his Roaches to this destructible rock. Couple of them getting blocked, but 3 are valiantly trying to knock the rocks down, and uh-oh, there's the push coming up. MorroW has all his Roaches out of position, trying to run to do the pullbacks around, but there's just not that many Hydros out right now for MorroW.
Yeah, and here he comes. Naniwa comes in with this. A great force fields, cutting off all the units from the back. And this could be the end of MorroW. I'm not sure if we better hold on to this, though there are a lot of Roaches, and he's forcing back. Yes, he will be able to hold on to this. Roaches with the +1 upgrade as well, pushes Naniwa back into his base. And I'm kind of curious, and the decision maker of Naniwa to get this Twilight Council, what was it for? Why would you build it if you're not going to use it?
Looks like he is just going for the +2 ground weapon upgrade, and now is even getting an Immortal out as well. Would love to see Naniwa take a 3rd base sometime soon. Again, it is so safe and easy to take. You can just knock it down while you're doing all these attacks and then continue to put pressure on. But Naniwa feeling like he needs to devote everything to the attack at the front lines.
Yeah, and surprisingly, MorroW, having all that harassment from the Void Rays, is still quite strong in this game. And the composition from Naniwa doesn't really look like he can beat MorroW. Here, the Roaches are doing a lot of damage to all these Zealots. It's so Zealot heavy, but there are so many Roaches. I mean, the Zealots aren't going to really be able to do that much damage.
Looks like Naniwa getting a little bit supply block. There's MorroW sending 2 Changelings into the main. Just keep an eye on what is going on. Still no 3rd for Naniwa. He might even invest in taking out these destructible debris on the right for gold, but no, playing very defensively at this point in time. And MorroW now taking a 4th base up at the left. MorroW is just doing a very nice job, but he is devoting so much of his resources to Hydralisks that those Colossi could do serious damage if they pop out on the map. Yeah,
Thermal Lance is being upgraded, and it looks like MorroW just baiting Naniwa back into his base. I don't think he's going to engage. Hold on thought, no, he's going to move back. He's got to be careful because of all the force fields can just position him so bad. But taking this 3rd and 4th base is going to help out a lot, as he definitely needs the gas with going for all these Hydralisks.
Yeah, it does look like, is that the +3 attack going down for Naniwa? He's being very active about those upgrades. Looks like no Immortals are out on the field. The Changeling gets blasted in the face by that Photon Cannon. Destructible debris still up. Naniwa is just not taking a 3rd and has everything on hold position. MorroW getting so many free shots off. There's some Guardian Shields getting thrown down. But look at the Roach count from MorroW and the Burrow moving back. There's the Colossus at the backside, but a few Roaches from MorroW are trying to take those out in the meantime. Naniwa losing quite a few units and loses the Colossus.
He lost the Colossus, and this actually could be the end of Naniwa. He's moving in now. MorroW with the +2, waited for it, and now he's going for a full-blown out attack into Naniwa's front, and his units are just dying. All these Zealots, especially by Micro, by MorroW, just taking them down so well. And Naniwa not looking in good, down to 90 food compared to 160 of MorroW.
MorroW just obliterating this front base of Naniwa, who had his very clever Void Ray opening, but just can't seem to handle this macro of MorroW. MorroW doing amazing work in this main, and the Colossus Doesn't have the range upgrade quite yet, so he cannot control too nicely against this Roach Hydra mix, but there the range upgrade is so close to being done. 1 second, and there it finally finishes. So Naniwa can micro from the high ground, but he is losing a lot at the front.
And I really think this is all down to MorroW's timing push. Because he had the chain link in the base, he saw exactly when the Colossus was going to come out, and it just completely kills him off.
And the last Colossus falls. The only expansion of Naniwa is taking so much damage. MorroW's Zerg play seems to be looking very strong in this second game. And with this one Colossus out, Naniwa is going to need to do amazing amounts of damage if he wants to pull back in.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else he can do. He's down to 1 base, which is virtually mined out. He has not got rid of the destructible rocks in the back either. MorroW has a 3rd up on the gold. He has the 4th up. He's even getting the 5th ready to go. And it doesn't look like Naniwa can really do anything else in this game.
I love when you go back to one of these bases and see that in the midst of this huge attack, we saw that Zerg was making drones, and here's MorroW with the bust-in play. Doesn't have any observers, doesn't even have time to make them. And there's the unburrow. See you later, Colossus. MorroW now surrounding everything, and it looks like Naniwa will say good game. MorroW, the Super Swede.
Super Swede pulls it back, losing the first game versus Servant, going into Naniwa in the second game, knowing that his tournament life was on the line if he'd lost. Pulls it back, and it's going to be an interesting to see how that group develops.
Yeah, and now the one unfortunate thing for MorroW is, guess who is his next round opponent?
I'm going to look on the piece of paper and cheat. It's going to be Show.
Yeah, I guess that question doesn't quite have the same spice to it if you have the match list on the table in front of you.
Well, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it's going to be Show, or as we like to say in America, S-Jow.
S-Jow.
That's right.
Jow.
S-J-O-W. Joe is his name. It will be on Metalopolis. So that is probably the first Metalopolis game that we have seen in this casted series. Has been played in a few of the other games, but MorroW is going to have a big uphill battle. Joe really is considered to be one of the best players at this tournament. Again, another Super Swede. Battling it out in the group stages. Quite unfortunate for both of those players, but again, MorroW's really going to need to step it up because all 3 games that we are looking at in this first set are of MorroW, so we will know exactly where he stands at the end of this game.
Yeah, and he's going to have to beat Show if he wants to contend for, top of the group. But Show is such a good player, and he's really been shining recently. He started off playing StarCraft 2. He wasn't that good of a player, to be honest, but then he got better and better and better. His timing got better. His execution got better.
Yeah.
And he has such a unique style, and everybody knows Show style, how he doesn't scout.
Yeah.
Ever. It's like when you do your dailies, like you talk about how scouting is so important in a game like StarCraft, and Show's like, no, it's not. It's fine.
Yeah, it's no matter. It's not a really big deal not to